tea is but the mixing of water with leaves. However, reducing tea to such basic and primitive elements fails to capture the mystery and poetry that is the keystone to tea's history and culture. Mention the word tea and open a psychological door that transports you to rainy days, long meandering conversations, family picnics, romantic dinners, or nights with a book and a fire. But how can the mixing of water and leaves unleash such strong memories and emotions? Surely there must be more to tea than a quick steeping of a leaf with warm water. If you are a tea enthusiast who is interested in learning more about the world of tea, The Art and Craft of Tea should be your first book. For me, this book is a wonderful find and I will keep handy and return to frequently. The Art and Craft of Tea was written by author Joe Wesley Wu in 2015. Joe Wu's passion for tea began in 1992 with an undergraduate study abroad program in Malaysia. Through subsequent travels and stays in varying corners of the world such as Europe, Russia, China, Central Asia, Southeast Asia, South Asia, and East Africa, he met remarkable people, many of whom spurred his desire to gain a deeper understanding of tea and tea culture. These meetings enraptured him in the complex historical, cultural, the philosophical importance of tea. All learned the art and craft of the world's great tea in some of the most notorious classrooms. This more than 20-year journey not only introduced him to some of the most revered cultures and histories of tea, but it also provided him access to some of the most fascinating and enduring stories about tea. I know I just started my quest for a good introductory tea book, but I think I have found it. The Art and Craft of Tea is one of the best introductions to tea that I've read so far. The book has 3 chapters in total. Chapter 1 is the obligatory history of tea. Next, it was about the basics of tea and basically took the reader through the processing of the tea leaves. Then, the book moved on to the types of tea, and this is where I decided that this book was the best I've seen so far, because the book covers all types of tea: yellow, green, white, black, oolong, and dark tea. Not only that, the section on dark tea was actually quite extensive, something very different from other tea books. Finally is on the main growing regions. All that was part 1. Part 2 is on technique, and in this part, the book covered water, preparing to make tea, making tea, different types of teas around the world, contemporary teas, and cold tea. The book also had really different tea recipes for you to try. The third and last part was on tea cocktails and pairings. This was very brief and I didn't spend much time on it, but it did round out the whole book. Overall, I think this is a fantastic book for people looking to understand more about tea and how to make it. The book manages to deliver lots of information in a succinct and easy to understand manner. The author clearly is passionate about tea, and it really shows in this lovely book. Everything you need to know about tea, from the history of tea to selecting, brewing, and serving tea, is covered here. Beautiful photography fills the pages and draws you into the warmth of tea. The Art and Craft of Tea is definitely a service look at so many aspects of tea culture, tea production, and enjoyment. But I really loved to fully enjoy the book. You really need a quiet space. I do not recommend anyone to read this work with a weak mind or you are in a tired state. The book doesn't require any patience, but it's calm and flatness. It's certainly not for a rush. That's why I said this book is for chill. I certainly won't call myself a tea expert, but definitely a tea enthusiast. So there was a lot of content I already know or have seen before, but there was a lot of new stuff too. I really enjoy reading about the history and all of the work that goes into making tea the beverage we enjoy today. The unique way the author contextualized the proliferation of commodity tea in the West is a particularly interesting presentation and treatment of the history of tea. For those who don't want to read through all the dates, facts, figures, and personalities involved, I also found the last chapter to be particularly fun because it brings tea to current trends, including pairing and recipes for cocktails. I really like how author described the 6 tea types and their processing. The chemistry section was also understandable. The book explains some processes in a very new and comprehensive way. Personally, I found the part on water to be a really fascinating one because the author went into the mythology connected with water and made an argument that this is why tea can evoke strong memories and emotions. It definitely made me think. The chapter on preparing to make tea was also well written. It was more of an overview than an in-depth discussion, but it's more than what I saw in other books, and I especially appreciated the section on how different materials can affect the taste of a tea. This book is quick read, well written, and responsibly separates opinions and facts. The tour of world tea traditions is especially fascinating and at times touching, including personal stories of how some tea traditions have played out in the author's life. Do you crave a classic English cuppa? A rich cup of Russian tea, a Persian rose tea, or an Indian spice tea? All these and more are covered here. There are delightful recipes in the book for such delicacies as cinnamon cream tea, basil peach tea, classic iced or sun tea, and more. This book would make a great gift for any tea lover on your list. Firstly, The Art and Craft of Tea is an informative book, so there's no doubt that I've learned a lot from it. The book provides all the knowledge about tea and especially a lot of tea recipes from countries around the world. I have tried a few and have had my own experience. The second thing I have learned from the book is an attitude of respect and appreciation for the different countries of the world. You know, the art and craft of tea mentions the countries of the world through their tea cultures, some of which may be similar, some seem odd, but they are all worthy of respect. I like the art and craft of tea because of its lightness and poetry. I would gladly rank it as one of my favorite books. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. I'm Quỳnh Anh and see you soon. I wish you happy reading.